I'm 42, married for almost 15 years, 2 kids, mortgage, golden retriever, the whole suburban starter pack. For most of that time I honestly believed my life was boring in the best possible way. My wife, Claire, and I met in our 20s. She was loud and funny, the kind of person who could turn a dull grocery run into an adventure. I was quieter, steady. We balanced each other out. At least that's what everyone always said. We had routines like every other family. Tuesday tacos. Saturday soccer for the kids. Dentist appointments twice a year with the same guy we've been seeing forever, Dr. Patel. Friendly, calm, middle-aged. The kind of dentist who tries too hard to remember your kids' names. Looking back, it almost makes me laugh how normal everything felt. If you'd asked me a year ago whether I trusted my wife, I wouldn't even have thought about it. Of course I did. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't walk in the front door and announce itself. It sits quietly at the dinner table for months while you pass the salt. And you have no idea. Claire started seeing Dr. Patel more often about a year and a half ago. At first it made sense. She'd always been self-conscious about her teeth. Nothing serious, just cosmetic stuff, whitening, a chipped molar, something about her gums that needed checking. Just maintenance, she'd say. Sometimes she'd come home numb-mouthed and slightly loopy from anesthetic, talking too much and laughing at nothing. I'd tease her about it while she tried to drink soup through a straw. Normal married stuff. But the visits got frequent. 3 times in 2 months. Then another follow-up. Then a quick adjustment. Then he wants to check how it's healing. I remember asking once, half joking, "Does our dentist have a crush on you or something?" She rolled her eyes. "Relax. He's just thorough." And I did relax. Why wouldn't I? Dentists are about the least threatening people on earth. They wear masks. They smell like mint and disinfectant. They lecture you about flossing. It never crossed my mind that a man who spent his days staring into people's mouths could be sleeping with my wife. If I'm honest, the red flags were there. I just didn't want to see them. Claire started dressing nicer for her appointments. Not ridiculously dressed up, but effort. Makeup on a Tuesday afternoon when she'd usually be in yoga pants. When I teased her once, she said, "I'm not going to look like a slob when someone's 2 inches from my face." Fair enough. She also started brushing her teeth constantly before appointments. Like obsessively. Mouthwash, floss, whitening strips. Again, it made sense in context. But there was also this weird energy after she came home. Sometimes she'd be quiet, almost thoughtful. Other times she'd be oddly cheerful, humming while she cooked dinner. Once I asked how the appointment went. She shrugged and said, "He said everything's under control." I remember that exact phrase now. Everything's under control. At the time it sounded reassuring. Now it sounds like a private joke I wasn't supposed to understand. The first real moment of doubt came from something stupid. Her phone. We'd never been weird about phones. If one of us needed to check something, we'd grab the other's device without asking. 15 years together tends to erase that kind of privacy. But one night she was in the shower, and her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. Just once. I glanced down automatically. The preview said, "Tomorrow still works. Same chair. No name saved. Just a number." At the time I assumed it was about the dentist appointment she had scheduled the next day. Still, something about "same chair" felt strange. I almost laughed at myself for noticing. I told myself I was being paranoid. But later that night I asked casually, "What time's your appointment tomorrow?" She froze for half a second. Then she said, 3. I nodded. Her phone screen was still glowing on the counter. The message timestamp was 10:47 p.m. Dentists usually don't text patients that late. That was when my brain started doing that horrible thing where it rewrites the past. Every detail suddenly looked suspicious. The late appointments. The extra follow-ups. The way she'd sometimes shower immediately after coming home. Still, I didn't jump to cheating right away. My brain tried to land anywhere else first. Maybe the dentist was unprofessional. Maybe he was flirting. Maybe she was uncomfortable and didn't know how to say it. So the next evening I asked directly, "Is Dr. Patel weird with you?" She looked genuinely confused. "What do you mean?" "I don't know," I said. "Just, you see him a lot." She laughed. "Do you think I'm having an affair with my dentist?" The way she said it was playful, almost amused. I felt stupid immediately. "Of course not," I said. She kissed my cheek and went back to scrolling her phone. And for a few weeks after that, I convinced myself the whole thing was in my head. I really wish I had been right. The thing that finally shattered the illusion was pure accident. A billing email. Claire handled most of our medical appointments, but the insurance account was under my name. One afternoon I got an automated statement from the dental clinic. 3 procedures. One of them I recognized, crown adjustment. Another, whitening. The third one confused me. Extended consultation, 90 minutes. 90 minutes. I'd had root canals that didn't last that long. That night I asked her about it. She barely looked up from the couch. "Oh yeah," she said. "He was checking some nerve sensitivity." 90 minutes? She shrugged. "He said everything was under control." That phrase again. And something about the way she repeated it, almost word for word, made my stomach twist. It felt rehearsed. Like she'd practiced that answer. And suddenly I realized something that scared me. I didn't actually know what happened during those appointments. I only knew what she told me. The real turning point happened about a month later. Claire had another appointment. Late afternoon. She texted me around 4:30 saying it was taking longer than expected. That wasn't unusual anymore, but something in my gut told me to drive past the clinic on my way home from work. I still don't fully understand why I did it. Maybe curiosity. Maybe dread. The parking lot was mostly empty when I pulled in around 5:15. The clinic closed at 5. Lights were still on inside. Through the glass door I could see the waiting room, empty. Chairs lined up, magazines perfectly stacked. And deeper inside the hallway, one treatment room was lit. I told myself not to be insane. But I walked in anyway. The receptionist's desk was empty. Then I heard laughter from down the hall. Claire's laugh. Followed by a man's voice. And something about the tone, low, intimate, made my heart start hammering before I even reached the doorway. I didn't burst in dramatically like in a movie. I just stood there. Frozen. The treatment room door was half open. Claire wasn't in the dental chair. She was sitting on the edge of the counter next to it. Dr. Patel stood between her knees. They were kissing. Not awkwardly. Not like two people making a mistake. Comfortably. Like they had done it many times. My brain refused to process what I was seeing. I actually remember noticing random details instead. The mint smell. The overhead light reflecting on metal tools. His hands on her waist. Then he pulled back slightly and said something that burned into my memory forever. He smiled and said, "Don't worry. Everything's under control." Claire laughed. And then she noticed me. Her entire face went white. For a few seconds nobody moved. It was like the whole room had stopped breathing. Claire slid off the counter so fast she nearly knocked over a tray of instruments. "Mark," she started. I couldn't even look at her. I stared straight at him. Dr. Patel still had those stupid blue gloves on. He took them off slowly, like he was preparing to explain a cavity. "Mr. Harris," he said calmly, "this isn't what it looks like." I actually laughed. The sound that came out of my mouth didn't even feel human. "Oh, really?" I said. Claire started crying immediately. "Please let me explain." "Explain what?" How long they'd been doing this. How my wife had turned dental appointments into hotel rooms with fluoride. My hands were shaking so badly I had to grip the doorframe. The worst part wasn't the image of them kissing. It was realizing how comfortable they both looked before I walked in. Like I was the only unexpected part of the situation. The confrontation happened right there in the dental office. Which is somehow even more humiliating when I think about it now. Claire kept saying my name like it was a life raft. "Mark, please listen." Dr. Patel stayed weirdly calm. He actually tried to take control of the conversation. "Emotions are high right now," he said. "Maybe we should all sit down." I remember snapping at him. "Don't you dare talk to me like I'm one of your patients." Claire grabbed my arm. "It's not what you think." I turned to her. "You're kissing our dentist in an empty office." Tears ran down her face instantly. "It just happened." That sentence might be the most insulting lie ever invented. "Nothing just happens," repeatedly for months. I looked at him again. And that's when he said the line that made me want to punch him through a wall. "Everything is under control," he said. As if my marriage collapsing was a dental procedure. I left before I did something stupid. My chest felt like it was going to explode. Claire followed me out to the parking lot barefoot, still crying. "Mark, please talk to me." I finally turned around. "How long?" She hesitated. That hesitation was worse than the answer. 6 months. 6 months. 6 months of appointments. 6 months of me watching the kids while she went to see our dentist. I asked the next obvious question. "Did it start in the chair?" She covered her face. "Yes." Apparently it began with some harmless flirting. Then a hand on her arm. Then a kiss after an appointment when the office was empty. I actually felt nauseous imagining it. A place where people get fillings and root canals. That's where my wife decided to start an affair. And the craziest part? She kept saying she didn't mean for it to go that far. As if cheating requires a written invitation. The next few weeks were chaos. Claire begged me not to tell anyone. She swore it was over. She said she'd never see him again, never step foot in that clinic. Meanwhile, I couldn't brush my teeth without thinking about it. Toothpaste suddenly reminded me of betrayal. I slept in the guest room. The kids sensed something was wrong immediately. Our daughter asked why Mommy kept crying. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to scream the truth to everyone. Another part felt ashamed. Like somehow I had failed. Friends noticed the tension. Claire told them we were going through a rough patch. That phrase makes me laugh bitterly now. A rough patch is forgetting anniversaries. Not sleeping with your dentist. But the worst part was the mental loop in my head. Every dental appointment. Every consultation. All those moments where I trusted her. They played on repeat like a bad movie I couldn't turn off. The confrontation with Dr. Patel happened about 2 weeks later. Not by choice. I ran into him at the grocery store. Of all places. He was in the produce section holding a bag of apples like a perfectly normal human being. When he saw me, his face tightened slightly, but he didn't run. "Mr. Harris," he said quietly. I walked straight up to him. "What the hell were you thinking?" He sighed like this was an awkward scheduling conflict. "I care about Claire," he said. That sentence almost made me black out with rage. "You're her dentist." It became complicated. I leaned closer. "You sat in our kitchen once. Remember? After our son's appointment." He didn't respond. "You shook my hand," I said. That's when he finally looked ashamed. Not when he slept with my wife. But when I reminded him we had met as people. Claire and I tried therapy. For the kids, mostly. The therapist asked a lot of questions about trust, communication, emotional needs. Claire cried through most sessions. She said she felt seen by him. Apparently, being admired while someone is literally staring into your mouth creates intimacy. I wish I were joking. The truth is, I still loved her. That's the cruelest part of betrayal. Love doesn't shut off like a faucet. But every time she touched me, my brain pictured that dental office. The chair. The counter. His hands. After 4 months of trying, I finally admitted something to myself. Even if I forgave her, I would never forget. And living with that image forever felt like slowly poisoning my own life. So I moved out. It's been almost a year now. We're separated, not officially divorced yet. The kids split their time between us. Claire moved to a different town. As far as I know, she doesn't see him anymore. Ironically, the clinic closed a few months after everything happened. Malpractice complaints. Apparently, I wasn't the only husband who showed up angry. I still think about that sentence sometimes. Everything is under control. He said it like a dentist talking about plaque. Like he believed he could manage the fallout. But life doesn't work like that. You can't numb betrayal with anesthetic. You can't polish away lies. What I've learned is this. The scariest betrayals aren't dramatic. They hide inside ordinary routines. A Tuesday appointment. A friendly doctor. A reassuring smile. And suddenly the person you trusted most is laughing with someone else in a room that smells like mint. And you're the only one who didn't know the joke.